This playthrough is rated M for mature.
Greetings and salutations, viewers. The mail has come in, and this time it's Call of Cthulhu for the PS4, published by Focus Home Entertainment or whatever, based off the Chaosium game of the same name, and made by Cyanide or something like that Entertainment. Oh boy, looks like we got an interesting title here. Maybe should have waited for Halloween to play this one, but the mail comes in when the mail comes in. Man, Call of Cthulhu. That's an old thing, way back. Like, it's not the first book done by Lovecraft, but it's one of the main stories about the man's supposed interaction with ancient beings far above their own, and back in the day would go insane thinking about such a thing such as this. If that happened today, would the ordinary man still go insane, or would they find it an odd notion because we're so much more modern than we were back in the 10s or whatever when that book came out? It may have been earlier than that, but man, there have been a bunch of Cthulhu games based over the years on this license and property. Well, I guess I shouldn't say a ton, but there have been quite a few. I usually have trouble seeing, so I usually turn up the brightness a bit, otherwise I'm not going to be able to see. Although I guess that's the point. It is supposed to be Call of Cthulhu, so it's supposed to be a dark, insanity driven type of game, but even I've got to see what I'm doing, otherwise I'm not going to enjoy it. There have been a few, like I said, there have been a few over the years that, well, there's the tabletop game, which is published by Chaosium. That one's an interesting game to play. It's based off a percentile system, very heavy on the story, but the problem with that type of game, well, I guess it's not a problem, it's just if you're really in love with your characters in that game, there's a high chance that they'll die. Like, death is a big chance, or sorry, death or insanity are one of the two big things in that thing. Like, it's very unlikely that a character will last forever in that series. They'll most likely go insane, and then you'll have to play someone else or something like that. So, Focus Entertainment has published quite a few interesting games recently. And the reason I say interesting is I don't know if I'd say they're great games, but a lot of the games they've been choosing to pick up and throw at the public have been very odd titles that have been kind of picking this little niche that a lot of people are looking for, whether it be like horror games or like weird action games. Like, there were some games they published a long time ago called, like, I think it was like Waking Mars, and there was a fantasy one done by the same group, and then there was a game called The Technomancer, which was their latest one. And then they released a lot of those Sherlock Holmes games by, like, Frog Entertainment. And they released a Vampire last year. That was an interesting game. I should have recorded that, but I didn't know how I'd be able to do that at the time because I was having issues with my recording system. But probably shouldn't be taking too much time for the game. We need to get started at some point. So let me take a quick look at all this stuff before we get going. I'll talk about that over the course of playing the game. Crosshairs? I could probably guess how to shoot something. Although I doubt shooting is going to work on everything. Actually, I don't know a whole lot about this game other than it was released and had an interesting let's see, I'll turn off the vibration because I hate that in my controllers. I was never a fan of that type of stuff. Man, I've played the last Call of Cthulhu game I played was back on the Xbox One a long time ago. I think it was also called Call of Cthulhu, so it'll be interesting to see what this game does differently from that one, and apart from the other games that have been released over the years. But they've been small indie titles, so we'll just choose one. Let's see how our main character chooses to go about this. Will he go insane? Will he survive to the end? Chapter 1, Pierce Investigations Agency in Boston. Boston, 1924. Edward Pierce, veteran of the First World War, drowns his memories in liquor and sleeping pills. He is now a private detective who has trouble finding a case able to lift him from his torpor. Man, I don't see that phrase used very often. Pierce must find a new case quickly or risk losing his license. Wait, you can lose a license if you don't get cases as a detective? Maybe that was back in the day. Then again, I don't know much about being a detective, so I know a detective is a type of type of police officer as well as you can be private. But I don't know much about private detectives. Actually, I don't know much about detectives except for your film noir and whatever. I like how the button says, or it says, "Enter the madness." I'm like, okay, calm down. What a way to start, man. We wake up in a bunch of bodies, dead shark underwater. It's Call of Cthulhu. If it has anything to do with water and underwater, it's a Cthulhu game. Yeah, surprisingly enough, Cthulhu has to deal with like water and underwater and stuff like that if you've never read the books. They're pretty interesting. I don't know if I'd say they're great. I don't know. It's hard to say based off modern sentimentality because it's definitely written in an age, you know, kind of like how Edgar Allan Poe, if you read it today, doesn't seem as scary. It might be interesting prose for the most part, but because it was written in a different time period, people had a different, you know, thought process on it. While we today just see it as interesting, back then it was kind of considered creepy by then modern readers. You could say the same thing with Call of Cthulhu. Would your average person be able to, you know, they would probably find the stories interesting, but that's it. And we're stuck in here. Our detective friend has apparently gotten in over his head already if he's already wherever he is. Is that someone back there? I can't really tell. I see some candles, but yeah, like most people, like I think the Call of Cthulhu books are interesting, but yeah, it's hard to get into that mindset because because of, you know, when I grew up and all this other stuff, so it probably doesn't have the same impact for me. But I still find them interesting reads. You know, what the thought process is on how they've written them. And Call of Cthulhu is just one of the many stories based on the mythos. I'm trying to remember the first book that Lovecraft wrote. Let's see. You must light up some in order to interact with them. Okay. Oh, I need a lamp before. I gotcha. It just told me that. Way to read. Pick X to pick up stuff. Ah, yes. Horror games and the lamps. Well, they've been around forever, but I think the most well-known use for lamps had to have been oh crap, I just forgot it now. It's a horror game that was indie for a while, and the big thing about was making sure they had oil for your lamp. Now I'll probably remember it over the course of the game. Oh, bolt cutters, that's it. I was about to say pliers for a second. I'm like, no, that's not. Those are a little small for pliers. So we got two ways to go. I guess it doesn't really matter, so gotta get out of here. Oh. Alright, let's see what I assume both ways just go to the same spot. But might as well open up both. See what happens. Good thing someone left their bolt cutters around. Good for us. Then we can get out of here.
In my wake, hold along. Fate inescapably draws you on.
In a weary week, I ponder, weak and weary, of my lost Lenore. I can quote Poe. Okay, not very well. I obviously messed up the line there. Oh, they both go to the same place. Okay, what was the point of that? What was that dark voice I heard? Was it around here or was it inside my mind? What the? Ew. Is that like a bubble or squid thing? What the heck is that? Okay. Huh, it makes me think I should go up there, but I can't. Ugh. Man.
What a putrid offering.
Well, I mean, they're your followers, dude, I assume. I don't know what. Why are there a bunch of sharks here? Are these shark intestines as well, or is it fish intestines, human intestines? Or is it... Oh, no, wait, that's a whale, isn't it? Just because, well, mainly from the streak on it. I could be wrong. Because some of these are sharks. Then again, I'm not a marine biologist, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, a lot of them look like whales. Like there's some shark and whales here. I don't know what type of whale. Like I said, I don't know that much about marine biology. I know a little bit, but
Don't fight. You have been chosen.
well, that's not a good sign, especially when the game, one of the first buttons, well, not one of the first, but one of the beginning buttons is like, hey, you're gonna need to run, dude. Which makes sense in a horror game. Usually good horror games make the characters somewhat competent, but not competent enough to be able to fight what they're going against, because that, you know, that'll pull in the horror aspect. I'm gonna try to record these at night to try and keep it.
Behold. Everything has already been written. But perhaps you will attempt to change your destiny.
Dude, you gotta lay off the alcohol, dude.
I hate whiskey.
There you go, see? Consult diary, okay. Pierce Investigation Agency, my private detective agency, contracted to the Wentworth Detective Agency. After the Great War, I decided to set up in Boston, where there is no lack of work for guys like me. One small-time case follows the other. Adultery, settled scores, disappearances that are not actually disappearances. The old office couch is less comfortable than a real bed. I should probably get rid of the empty bottles, but this place is mine for the moment. Interesting. Man, we just had a weird dream about, like, guys with squid hands and dead sharks and stuff like that.
Been too long since I've slept in a bed. A lost battalion. Holding your position and obeying orders. That isn't courage.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there, dude. And I haven't been in the army, but I've seen enough stories and all that.
I used to be an avid reader.
Yeah, that happens to a lot of people. They read a lot, and then just something happens where they slow down or stop or don't read as much as they used to for other reasons or another. What's this? Okay, I can just open and close it, but I can't actually pick it up. Okay, cool.
The Wentworth Agency doesn't attract top-notch cases.
Well, that's because you don't have a big old eye on your door. All the great private detectives have an eye on their door. Like that old-timey 1920s music. I think it says 1920. I mean, for so far the game looks pretty good. I mean, have a drink, don't drink. Dang straight. This will affect your. Ooh, hello, dude. With some of the shit I've been seeing already, you might want to go a couple drinks. So does this game have different endings and stuff like that? It'll be interesting how that plays.
Been a while since I jotted down something other than my nightmares.
Okay, October 20th, 1924. Pierce Investigation Agency. The doctor can well repeat to me that I no longer need my remedy to keep my memories at bay, but I know that if I stop, the memories will return. One of these mornings, I probably won't wake up. Despite the treatment, I hear voices in my dreams, but they are different, unknown. They seem to surface from unfathomable and ancient depths. A nameless creature is calling me. Who has those types of feelings, you know? Now, can we turn off the radio? Oh, but I want to leave the... Aw, man. You permanently turn it off. No! Oh, phone ringing. Well, phone's ringing, dude. Thanks, Donnie.
I should get rid of all this stuff.
You gotta quit the PI biz. Well, if it's not making money, you know.
Natural sciences, linguistics, archaeology.
Well, it definitely knows that our main character is at least a learned man, at least to a point. Ooh, what's this? The bar owner
Good
who
old
hired me.
story of blackmail in a speakeasy.
Sorry, I didn't know you'd talk on that. The bar owner who hired me didn't like the way I closed this case. When you're already outside the law, there's not a lot you can do against a private detective who's got proof against you. Nice. I mean, ooh, what's this one?
Married woman runs off with her girlfriend. The husband couldn't understand it.
The husband never understood that his wife had left him. He kept calling on me weeks after the investigation had been closed. Wait, did it say something about... never mind. Can we leave?
I have business here to attend.
That'd be funny if it just let me leave even though the phone's ringing. Okay, I think we've got everything. Alright, time to pick up. Remember this? Oh, did we... I thought I missed something. Oh, remember this, folks? Yeah, dial-up phones. Yeah, none of you remember that. I do. I'm from the old times.
I'm listening.
Are you Edward Pierce, private investigator contracted by the Wentworth Detective Agency?
That's correct.
Hello, Mr. Pierce. I'm Lucy Sherifield, in charge of investigators over at Wentworth. I'm calling because of a problem with your file. A fire has destroyed some of our documents.
Is that right?
I'm so very sorry, but I have to collect your personal information yet again.
Ah, interesting way of doing this. Too bad the game doesn't start with some hot lady coming in who's too dangerous for our main character, but he's got to follow her. But this is Call of Cthulhu. We're not going to do that. Alright, looks like this game has a bit of... It's a first-person game. I assume more of... Well, I wouldn't say shooter per se, because it's it's based on those type of horror games, first person. But it looks like we have some way to customize our character. So allocate your character points. Each character point allows you to improve the score of a skill. Let's see, we've got strength. Right now we're professional, which I believe this game is based heavily on the Chaosium. Not based heavily. It's based loosely on the Chaosium engine, which is based off percentiles. Obviously it has to be changed differently for a game, because this probably wouldn't work if it was purely Chaosium gameplay style. So let's see, professional, we're at 3 strength right now, 6 CP to go forward, and we've got 8 for character points right now. Probably don't want to beef that up any more than we do. Let's see, strength represents your ability to call on your physical power. Improving this skill increases your chance of forcing doors or mechanisms or using violence, physical or verbal, during interactive discussions. I assume this allows us to maybe get through certain puzzles differently if we want to have a different pathway, so that's kind of neat. See, we're novice at medicine, so 10% chance, I guess, of working, I assume, during most interactions. So it's not guaranteed you'll do it, but you have a 10% chance of it working if you choose it. See, medicine represents your medical knowledge. Improving this skill increases your chances of determining the dosage of a drug, of making a diagnosis, or expressing your understanding of medical problems. We'll consider that. We have no occultism, 4 CP, probably because that one's it's kind of like in Cthulhu knowledge in the main game. Like, you can't actually buy that one. You have to, the game master has to award you that, or you get it from purposely looking into studying the occult and stuff like that. Then you can earn it from as a reward. Although the more you learn, the more insanity you take, or the more sanity you lose, and then But yet you need to learn it to beat the worst of the worst of this, or to fight the worst of the worst in the Call of Cthulhu series. Let's see. Occultism represents your knowledge of the occult science. Improving this skill increases your chances of determining the use origin of occult artifacts and expressing your knowledge of the myth. I wonder if this is one of those games where you get CP from just doing points in the game, or do you have to purposely try to do stuff to get earn those skills? Psychology, 20% amateur. What did it say? Novice? No, okay. Amateur, level 2. Psychology represents your knowledge of human behavior. Improving this skill increases your chance of understanding the motivations of a person based on his or her behavior or on the analysis of an object. Okay. Spot hidden. Oh, I'm aware of this, even not in just Call of Cthulhu, but other tabletop games, perception, whatever. Amateur, 30%. Spot hidden represents your ability to find hidden objects. Improving the skill increases your chances of finding hidden objects. An undiscovered object will not appear in game. Might consider beefing that one up. It's always a good idea to be able to find that hidden stuff. It might make certain things easier to do. Eloquence. We're an amateur at it. Amateur, I tell you. Eloquence represents your ability to influence those you talk to by your powers of speech. Improving this skill increases your chances of convincing or manipulating during discussions. I've always been a fan of making dialogue-based characters in games, though most games don't really do a good job with it because they're usually they're action games or whatever, so at some point you have to use your action. The only other game I thought did a decent job on it was Deus Ex. like any of the Deus Ex games. Although there was one that they had to patch it because if you played the stealth route, you were almost going to be guaranteed to get killed at certain parts of the game because they forced you to fight certain characters, which kind of went, why did I go stealth then, you know? Okay, and last, investigation. Professional at 40%, which makes sense. We're a private detective. Investigation represents your investigating talents. Improving this skill increases your chances of understanding past events by analyzing a crime scene or an object, and picking locks. Picking locks. Okay. Let's see. We got 8 points right now. Let's see. I'm thinking almost eloquence, but then I wouldn't have another. I'd have to do medicine if I did that though, because I could do eloquence, spot hidden, and then improve my medicine. I kind of want some occultism, but I wonder if we'll get that later on in the game. Because I'm thinking I'll probably just leave strength as is. Too bad we can't. Can we remove? No, we can't. We can't remove stats and create it ourselves. So, all right, I'm gonna do spot hidden. Oh, okay. So I don't have to put all my points into it, just if I want it to be at a level. Okay. Let's see what level 3 gets us. I guess it just shows that we're at level 3. And then it turns us into professional. That might give us some bonuses on things if I do that. Okay, so I have to keep that in mind. I don't have to. It just... Yeah, see what that one takes 4. Okay, I see. But I kind of almost want a thing to be at a new level at this point, wouldn't I? Just at this point, so... Okay, well, we'll make ourselves a... Although if we level our stuff, it does show like a small percentage increase. Like, looks like most of them you get a 5. If you do that. So I almost want to maybe do one in occult just so I have a small percentile chance of doing that. So, alright, well, I'll think about it a bit and see what I want to do. But what'll our detective find out soon? What'll those dreams mean? And what does that fish dude have in for our future? Well, we probably won't find out next time in the next episode of Call of Cthulhu. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.